Hello little people of the internet, my name is Phoenix and I have no limits as to what I will do or talk about on this channel. I apologise for not uploading recently, apologising to the few subscribers that I actually have and the few people who are actually watching this. However, I have been rather busy between trying to record the same video a bunch of times, helping my brothers and parents with the dogs job hunting and having a very bad sleep schedule. I haven't really been able to push myself out of a mental spiral, so that I do apologise for. But you will also notice that I am now a PNG tuber. This is because I want to give you all some kind of face to put to the name and voice during these kinds of videos, the educational commentary and serious types, because I don't want to show my actual face on this channel. Anyway, you're not here for me or my rants, you're here for the video and because of the thumbnail and title. The history of film and video according to me, an ex-visual communications college student. This script was originally a research essay for my HNC visual communication course, so I've had to go through and dumb it all down quite a bit so that it will be digestible and hopefully more engaging for the algorithm and now you guys. Now I will shut up and just get into it. Enjoy. The first boring part is, what are they? Well, what are film and video? Film is the term used to refer to a series of images or pictures that use the illusion of movement, where the human eye retains visual information from individual static images to give the viewer the perception of movement when placed one right after the other. Video or digital video is the term to describe images that are shown in succession the same way film is, but it is shown as digital data rather than a physical film reel. Both film and video are often shown with sound, synchronized or otherwise, to tell a story, entertain or convey a message to the viewer. The second boring part is that I now need to describe the illusion of movement to you. The illusion of movement, also known as the persistence of vision, is exactly what it sounds like. We see a bunch of images placed one right after the other in rapid succession, and our mind and eyes retain information from each individual frame and fills in the remaining gaps to create the illusion of what we see on screen as moving. This phenomenon is the reason why things such as the spiral images you see on Google, along with grid illusions, are so effective at making us believe that the images or colours are moving around, when in reality these images are completely static referring to something that is unmoving. Film and video have been around for just over a century. Film has been around since the mid to late 1890s, while video has been around since the digital revolution in the 1990s, when we moved from analog to digital for worldwide use. In this video, I will not only cover the history of technological developments and techniques, but I will also be covering 6 of the film industry's practitioners. These practitioners are ranging from Georges Méliès, who pioneered special effects techniques, to Clark Gable's successful and celebrated careers, to even Tim Burton and Scott Aharoni, who are modern filmmakers and directors. But there's plenty to cover in this video. Here is the timeline breakdown. December 28, 1895, the Lumiere brothers screen a variety of their short films during an exhibition to show their cinematograph to very, very important people. Their cinematograph was a 3-in-1 device to take, develop and project moving images. Here is an image. In the 1900s and 1910s, the growth of film as an artistic and silent narrative technique continues internationally, with more countries adopting and developing their own techniques and technologies for film. Film was used throughout the First World War for both education and propaganda. In the 1920s, the Warner Brothers released The Jazz Singer in late 1927, kickstarting the use of sound for film and storytelling. By the tail end of 1929, sound on film was used in many countries, with these quote-unquote talkies coexisting with the silent films still being released in China and Japan at the time. In the 1930s, Walt Disney introduces Technicolor's 3-strip color process successfully in 1932 with the animated short Flowers and Trees. Technicolor's first main use was for musicals such as The Wizard of Oz, costume films like The Adventures of Robin Hood, and for animation. In the 1940s, throughout the Second World War, many filmmakers and studios produced educational content alongside propaganda for the war. Many of these films are to educate civilians on how they can help the war effort and how to enlist young men into the military. The use of film for wartime propaganda proves to further grow the success of film as an artistic, narrative, and educational media. The 1950s is the golden age of Asian cinema, which means Asian cinema sees a growth with many Asian filmmakers, directors, screenwriters, and actors becoming popular and earning more revenue to produce more and higher quality films. In the 1960s, the usage of film as an artistic, narrative, and entertainment media, along with educational media, experiences larger, more steady growth than when it was first created. The use of on-location filming and production in foreign countries grows, and as a result inadvertently causes a decline in production and revenue within Hollywood, coming with the first death of Hollywood. The 1970s is a very raunchy era for film, with an increase in intimately explicit content within films, meaning more 18+ R-rated and X-rated labels on films and their advertisements. The new Hollywood also brings more and better production to Hollywood, bringing in more monetization and revenue for Hollywood and its production companies. In the 80s, VCR usage for at-home entertainment grew, and come the 1990s, digital cameras were introduced worldwide, with a commercially successful independent cinema being made in the US, and an increase of the usage of special effects was also seen. In the 1990s, Pixar also creates the first CGI-only film, bringing more popularity to CGI and its usage with Toy Story. The early 2000s sees a rise and creation of streaming media platforms after Netflix was founded as a buy and rent series of locations in 1997, with YouTube being founded in 2005, originally meant to be a dating website, but no one was using it for exactly that. And Hulu was created in 2007. Streaming services also grow and more popular throughout the final years of the early 2000s. 2010's short film content starts in the form of Vine in 2012 to 2017, Musical.ly in 2014 to 2018, and finally TikTok from 2018 to the present. These short-form contents allow creators to explore their creativity in bite-sized video formats to further their businesses' reach across the globe, and repopularizes the short-form content that used to be popular before feature-length films took dominance over the globe. And finally, the 2020s, the present, as of right now. The first lockdown of COVID-19 happens, making more streaming platforms popular, and slows the creation of films. With nothing to do during their free time, if they aren't exercising or assessing their creativity, people sit down and watch movies or series on Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, or other streaming media platforms. During lockdown, many content creators on YouTube and TikTok find their success due to the influx of individuals not knowing what to do outside of their hobbies, and the success of content creators has only grown since the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, meaning many creators can afford to produce higher quality content for entertainment and educational purposes for people of all ages. Since then, generative AI has also started threatening creative individuals and their career opportunities due to large companies and AI slop bros not appreciating our hard work and children not knowing how to appreciate the same things we should still appreciate. Marie-Georges Jean Méliès was a French magician, toymaker, actor, and filmmaker who was born to wealth as the third son of his parents. Méliès had attended the special private demonstration of the earlier mentioned cinematograph by the Lumiere brothers on the 28th of December in 1895. He recognized the potential for the device and offered the Lumieres 10,000 francs for one of them. However, his offer was turned down by them as they wanted to keep their device to themselves to protect it. However, he was unworried, and maybe he was also acting on a tip from Jean Dulce, who may have seen Robert W. Paul's animatograph film projector, and through word of mouth, Méliès found out from her, so he set off to London and acquired an animatograph and a variety of short films sold to him by Paul and the Edison Manufacturing Company. Because of this, by April of 1896, the theatre Robert Houdin was showing films as part of its daily performances. After studying the design of the animatograph, Méliès also altered the device to operate as a film camera, and due to film stock and film processing labs not being available in France at the time, Méliès took it upon himself to purchase unperforated film, personally developing and printing his own film via trial and error. Come September of 1896, Méliès, Lucien Corston, and Lucien Ruelos patented the kinetograph Robert Houdin, a cast iron camera projector. However, by 1897, the technology had caught up and brought better cameras to the Parisian market, causing Méliès to discard his own camera in favour of purchasing several better cameras from Gaumont, Lumière, and Pathé. Georges Méliès died of cancer on January 21st, 1938, at the age of 76, leaving behind a legacy of special effects that have inspired the styles of directors such as Steven Spielberg, Tim Burton, and Martin Scorsese. Edwin S. Porter was born on April 21st, 1870, and was an American film director. In 1891, Porter co-invented a device to regulate the intensity of an electrical light, after which he opened a business, of which quickly went bankrupt afterwards. And then, after it went bankrupt, he joined the US Navy in 1893 until 1896, when he, together with two friends, Charles H. Balsey and Richard S. Payne, who had bought the territorial rights to the Edison Vitascope from Raff and Gammon in Indiana and California. Later in 1896, Porter went to work for Raff and Gammon in New York, but left soon after the Edison Company broke with Raff and Gammon. Porter then toured with vaudeville entertainers through the Caribbean as an exhibitor of motion picture, and in 1897 he helped build the projector at the Eden Museum, which was a museum and theatre in New York City. During the summer of 1897, Porter worked as an exhibitor in Canada before going back to work as the projectionist at the Eden Museum. In 1900, the Edison Company hired Porter to make improvements and redesign their motion picture equipment, and soon thereafter he was put in charge of Edison's Skylight Studio located on East 23rd Street in New York City. He served as director-cameraman for many of Edison's films for the next few years following his placement. Likely due to Porter's experience as a projectionist at the Eden Museum, he came to be a practitioner of continuity editing in the early 1900s. Porter was, by his own admission, influenced by other filmmakers, especially Georges Méliès, whose Le Voyage dans la Lune in 1902. Porter came to know very well in the processing of duplicating it for illegal distribution by Edison by October of the same year. Years later, Porter claimed that Méliès' film had given him the concept of, quote, telling a story in continuity form, unquote, which resulted in The Life of an American Fireman, which was also influenced by James Williamson's Fire, combined with archived footage and staged scenes to create a 9-shot narrative of a dramatic rescue from a burning building. A large problem for early filmmakers was the establishment of smooth and cohesive transitions from one shot to the next, and Porter's The Great Train Robbery from 1903 was the first narrative film to have achieved such continuity of action. In 1910, Porter founded the Defender Film Company and then the Rex Motion Picture Company a year later in 1911. By 1912, Porter moved to join Adolf Zucker's Famous Players Company, and one of the films he directed was Mary Pickford's first feature, A Good Little Devil, in 1914. In 1915, Porter retired from filmmaking and became president of the Precision Machine Company before retiring in 1925 and then losing his fortune in the stock market crash of 1929.
Why, I haven't been that entertained since the stock market crash of 1929! So many orphans.
We have no idea how he died because I could not find it. Born on May 18th, 1897 as Francesco Russell Capra, Frank Capra was an Italian-American director, producer, and screenwriter of several award-winning films during the 1930s and 1940s. During the First World War, he spent time teaching mathematics to the US Army. With 3 Academy Awards under his belt for Best Director from 6 separate nominations, Capra's classics from the early 1930s brought hope and laughter to his audience by depicting the hopes and fears of individuals throughout the Great Depression. Capra also produced educational films about the Second World War. The nominations that earned him the Academy Awards for Best Director include 1935's award for It Happened One Night, 1936's award for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, and 1938's award for You Can't Take It With You, with Capra earning an additional award in 1943 for Best Documentary with his documentary about the Second World War called Prelude to War. Capra's directing style relied heavily on improvisation, often only using primary scenes for films, or only having said primary scenes written, and he had a reputation for being, quote, fiercely independent, unquote, when dealing with studio bosses. He was active in the industry from 1922 until 1964. Later in life, Capra earned a Life Achievement Award in 1982 at the age of 85, and on September 3rd, 1991, Capra died of cardiac arrest in his sleep. Born on February 1st, 1901 as William Clark Gable, Gable was an American actor with a career spanning 37 years, quickly earning himself the title of the King of Hollywood. At the age of 1, Gable lost his mother and was raised in Cadiz, Ohio, dropping out of school at the age of 16, working various jobs before pursuing a career in acting. In his pursuits for acting, Gable was mentored by Josephine Dillon, who trained him in acting and presentation, and they married in 1924. Gable's first major break was in a Broadway play called Machino, before his Hollywood debut in 1931 with the role in the film titled The Painted Desert, followed by films such as A Free Soul and Night Nurse in the very same year. These films, among others, and his roles in them, earned him a reputation and popularity for his masculine yet charming persona. Gable earned an Academy Award for Best Actor in his role It Happened One Night in 1934. had an Oscar nomination for Mutiny on the Bounty in 1935, and Gone with the Wind in 1939 from his iconic role as Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, one of cinema's most celebrated films. On the subject of Gone with the Wind, he also threatened to walk away from filming unless the signs were taken down when he found out the facilities were racially segregated. He also tried to boycott the screening when he found out that 2 of the actresses were not allowed to attend due to their skin colour, but he ended up attending when one of them convinced him to go. In his personal life, Gable was married a total of 5 times, with his most notable marriage being to actress Carole Lombard in 1939 to 1942 after Lombard's tragic death in a plane crash. Gable was deeply affected by the loss of her, leading to Gable enlisting in the AAC, the Army Air Corps, during the Second World War, serving as a tail gunner and earning military honours. Gable's later career consisted of post-war films such as The Hucksters in 1947, Mogambo in 1953, and comedies like Teacher's Pet in 1958, and his final film releasing in 1961, co-starring Marilyn Monroe and Montgomery Clift in The Misfits. Gable's consistency in being a recurring figure among top box office stars in Hollywood left him known for his rugged masculinity, charisma, and versatility in romantic comedies and dramas. As such, this was the legacy left behind when he died of a heart attack on November 16th, 1960, shortly after completing the filming of The Misfits, being remembered as a symbol of Hollywood's golden age. Be prepared for a lot more films and dates to be listed, because this is exactly where it gets a lot more listy. Anyway, Tim Burton, born as Timothy Walter Burton in 1958, is a well-known American filmmaker, animator, and artist known for his gothic, fantastical, and darkly whimsical style, often referred to as Burton-esque. Burton has shaped modern gothic pulp culture and earned major honours, including an Emmy Award, many Oscar nominations, and the Venice Film Festival's Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement. Burton was born and raised in Burbank, California, and during his formative years was described as an introverted child who preferred drawing, painting, and monster movies, with his style being heavily influenced by Universal Monsters, Hammer Horror, Vincent Price, Ray Harryhausen, and authors like Dr. Seuss and Roald Dahl. From an early age, Burton made backyard stop-motion films, and once of age, studied character animation at CalArts, where he created early shorts including Stalk of the Celery Monster. During his early career, Burton was hired by Disney as an animator and concept artist, though his style rarely fit their films. However, Burton's early shorts, such as Vincent in 1982 and Hansel and Gretel in 1983 and Frankenweenie in 1984, caught the attention of Paul Rubens, leading to Burton's first feature. For the years from 1985 to 1994 would be when Burton produced his breakthrough and major films, starting with Pee-wee's Big Adventure in 1985 as his first feature film and box office success, followed by Beetlejuice in 1988 to establish his signature style, Batman and Batman Returns in 1989 and 1992, respectively, as major commercial successes that reshaped superhero cinema. Edward Scissorhands in 1990 would be Burton's first, most personal feature film, as it would be his first collaboration with Johnny Depp. The Nightmare Before Christmas in 1993 would be produced and became a major hit. Then in 1998, the critically acclaimed feature Ed Wood would win 2 Oscars. Between 1995 and 2010, Burton became an established director, producing James and the Giant Peach in 1996, directing Mars Attacks in 1996 as well. Sleepy Hollow in 1999, Planet of the Apes in 2001, Big Fish in 2003, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in 2005, Corpse Bride in 2005, Sweeney Todd in 2007, Produced 9 in 2009, and Alice in Wonderland in 2010. Burton's adaptation of Alice in Wonderland was a global success and earned $1 billion worldwide. Notable films directed by Burton between 2011 and 2021 include Dark Shadows from 2012, the 2012 feature remake of Frankenweenie Big Eyes in 2014, Miss Penregrine's Home for Peculiar Children in 2016, and the 2019 live-action remake of Dumbo before Burton began distancing himself from Disney due to creative differences. His most recent works have been several episodes of Netflix Wednesday when it began in 2022, earning Burton an Emmy nomination, and most recently directed Beetlejuice in 2024 as a sequel to the 1988 classic. In his personal life, Burton had one marriage to Lena Gase from 1987 to 1991, a long-term relationship with Lisa Marie, and later Helena Bonham Carter, with whom he had 2 kids, and was in a relationship with Monica Bellucci from 2022 to 2025. Burton has also had major retrospectives at MOMA, LACMA, Cinématique Française, and Seoul Museum of Art, among others, and has published The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories in 1997, The Art of Tim Burton in 2009, and The Napkin Art of Tim Burton in 2015. So far, this is everything available at Tim Burton, as there are no sources telling me everything else about him. And now we get on to the youngest person on this list, and the last person on this list, Scott Aharoni. Scott Aharoni is an American film producer and director from Great Neck, New York, and the co-founder of Curious Gremlin, an independent entertainment company focused on film and television development and production, along with television and film financing. Aharoni was born on January 4th, 1994, and began with sleight of hand magic before discovering filmmaking in middle school. In high school, Aharoni directed and produced content for the district's local TV station, then later attended Hofstra University on a presidential scholarship. He graduated with high praise in film and television production after his studies there. Early work by Aharoni included experimental shorts, commercials, and music videos, along with his 2015 thesis film Bardo winning many awards at the Hofstra Film Festival. The Untimely Gift came 2 years later in 2017, premiering at the Directors Guild of America Theatre. In 2020, Aharoni directed Lilac, which was produced during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the film later premiered at the 2021 Tribeca Film Festival, earning the Special Jury Prize. Aharoni also executive produced The Criminals, which was shortlisted for the 94th Academy Awards. Since then, Aharoni has executive produced a variety of high-profile projects, including The Chronology of Water, The Carpenter's Son, Our Hero Balthazar, The Wrong Girls, and The Testament of Anne Lee. Aharoni's films have been screened at major festivals worldwide, including Cannes, Venice, and Tribeca, and he has earned significant recognition, including an Academy Award shortlist placement for Best Live Action Short. Much like Tim Burton, this is all that is available on Aharoni that I could personally find. If you can find more, link it in the comment. And now, the section that I promised at the end of the timeline is my rant about AI. I couldn't think of anywhere else to put this, because honestly, this section does belong in this very same video as everything else that's been discussed due to the rise in concerning content, both realism-wise and in the sense that it is threatening the integrity of those who actually put in the thought, creativity and effort necessary to push out decent content for the majority of my generation. Plus, it's also concerning that people are using AI to cover up literal gore and CSAM. That shit's concerning as well. But I am a person of Gen Z, so I grew up with modern technology alongside my fellow Gen Zers. Due to my area of study when I was in college, I believe I have a large say in what is and isn't good quality content on platforms such as YouTube and TikTok, just as much as everyone else that has been doing YouTube far longer than I have. Both personally and professionally, all of these AI brain slop content farms, plus ElsaGate content farms, plus the AI ElsaGate content is terrible for both long-term entertainment and the development of children's brains, because if you introduce them to trauma that young, they're not going to develop fully and properly. On top of that, the generative AI content poses a risk to semi-decently produced content by people without the means to create high-quality content production, but they have the passion and creativity that hasn't been lobotomized and compromised by generative AI or LLMs. And as a person who has watched plenty of videos on this subject, has personally experienced an AI addiction firsthand, and has seen what happens when someone uses AI without fully understanding it, it isn't so much about the creativity anymore as it is about the immediate dopamine rush from AI content, which in turn sucks your creativity out of you. Gen X, Gen Alpha, millennials, even some Gen Z are examples of this AI addiction and AI psychosis, where we have started turning away from real human interaction and have started heavily relying on AI to do our conversations, research, thinkings, creativity, and even dating for us, because a lot of girls and women have started turning to AI because of a lot of boys and men being highly disgusting and disturbing when it comes to their views on us, which I don't blame them, honestly. It's hard to find a decent man or boy when you're surrounded by people thinking red-pilled and incel-y-ish. But if you're someone who uses any kind of AI, please stop relying on it. And if you don't like my opinion, don't go sending hate in the comments. Just remember that this is all my thoughts and opinions formed on what information I have received from other content creators through their videos and personal experience. So yeah, keep any opinions or responses in the comments respectful. Do not send hate, do not send death threats. That is not the way you go. In conclusion to everything I have explained in this video, I really do believe that we have come a very long way from initially having to rely on the long, tedious process of capturing individual images, processing them, and developing and then editing them by hand, only for a lot of money to get you a very short film, which would last about 60 seconds at most around 4 minutes in 1999. And since then, we can make movies and videos lasting hours to days or even weeks just by recording and editing videos digitally with any software that is available to us with what resources and money we have. Overall, everything within the filmmaking process has become easier and sometimes even more enjoyable if you do enjoy reviewing work and cutting out mistakes or continuity errors. And other than Gen AI and short form content on YouTube Shorts, TikTok and Instagram Reels being negative impacts on our self-esteem, mental health, memory retention and sense of self, every other technological advancement and technique development has positively impacted everyone's ability to use their creativity to entertain and educate others, along with maybe just telling a story. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more like this, or even to suggest another topic, please do leave a comment if you want to see more like, subscribe, and hype the video. I am trying to make this my full-time job, and I can't do that without the help of you lot on the other side of the screen. This has been Phoenix, logging off. See you next time.